Hey guys, welcome back to DJ's Workshop. Today I'm going to be talking about a product that I just picked up. Around the house, sometimes we need a generator, and I have a couple of big generators, but they're not really good for like when you're working in the yard or you're doing something small and quick. So we picked up this generator here. It's a 2500 watt Champion dual fuel generator. So I'm going to show you how to set this thing up and what it's all about, and we'll go through all the specs and all that good stuff. All right, so stay tuned. All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you is what actually comes with it. So obviously you get your generator. It comes with the oil because it doesn't ship with oil, so you need to add the oil, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It comes with the propane hose, and this piece here comes with some screws. This piece here actually screws onto here, and you can use this to clip on to the generator itself to hold the hose when you're not using it. Comes with the funnel to add the oil, and it comes with a little USB plug that you can use to run different accessories. It also comes with the manuals, a quick start guide, some stickers, and a little sheet on the carbon monoxide. All right, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go over the features and what all these controls are. So we're going to go through the manual here, which nobody ever does, including myself. So I figure let's just kind of run through some of the stuff on here. All right, so as far as specifications go, this is the model 201183, and this is a 2500 watt generator. It starts on 2500 watts. It'll run on 1850 using fuel. If you're using the gas, it'll start at 2500 and run on 1660 watts. It's a 120 volt, 15.4 amps, and then also has 12 volts DC with 8 amps. The unit itself weighs 39 pounds. The specifications are the length is 17.3 inches, the width is 12 inches, the height is 17.7 inches. Okay, this has a 79cc 4-stroke engine, and then it gives you some other information as far as spark plugs and intake and exhaust valve clearance. Now this unit runs on 10W30 oil. You can use 530, you can use 1040 depending on the temperatures, but generally 1030 is what they use. The gasoline capacity is 1.1 gallon. Okay, so let's get into getting this thing set up. Okay, so on the unit itself, put this up here. Okay, so on the unit itself, I'm going to go over some of the different things here. Okay, so obviously you have a carrying handle here. This is your starter. Okay, you have your control panel in the front. You have your fuel cap up here, which does have a vent lock. Okay, so you got to make sure that's open when you're running it. You have a spark plug access cover on the side here that you would pop off and gain access to the spark plug. You have your maintenance cover, and then you have your muffler on the back side of the unit. Okay, now as far as the front of this thing goes, all right, so these different controls here. So this one here is your circuit breaker that protects against overloads. That's a 20 amp breaker. We have your eco mode. So when you're running the unit, if you put it in eco mode, it'll lower the idle. So like when you're not using it constantly, if you're just using, power tools or whatever, you're not running them constantly. So as you're not using them, it'll lower the idle just to save fuel. We have a low oil warning light, which will come on and shut the engine down if it gets too low. We have AC overload button used to re-energize the receptacles after an overload fault. And then we have, let's see, this one here that says shield. That is your CO2 shield. So if it senses too much carbon monoxide, it will shut down and you'll see this light flashing. All right, we have, let's see. Okay, we have two outlets here, and this says parallel outlets used to parallel two inverters together to increase the power output. We have this here is your gas hookup. We have, let's see, this is a ground terminal. And then we have the dial for starting, and we have different settings. So this is off, propane, gas, and choke. Okay. Now we have two outlets here. Okay, these are your AC outlets, and these are 20 amp single phase 60 hertz outlets. And then you do have a DC outlet here. Okay, and that is 12 volts 8 amps. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to get this side cover off, and we're going to get the oil put in, and that way we can get ready to start it. All right, now I just want to mention something here. I did have another Champion generator that I bought before this one, okay, and that was a 201530. And I actually had an issue with that one, and I don't know if it was the model or if it was just that specific one that had an issue. But when I ran it on gas or propane, the first time I started it, the CO2 kept kicking in and shutting the machine off. It would run for about 5 minutes, shut off. Run for about 5 minutes, shut off. I switched over to propane, run for 5 minutes, shut off. So I didn't know what was going on with that. I had it outside in the wide open air, so it wasn't like I had it in a garage and it was, you know, picking up all kinds of CO2. So, but the other one was a little bit heavier, and it didn't have as good a runtime on it. So they were both the same on the gas. They'd run about 11.5 hours on fuel. But on the propane, the other one at about a 25% load would run up to about 25 hours. This one here will run about 34 hours. So you get a lot more runtime out of it. And it is a little bit lighter too. So I just wanted to mention that. So if you guys end up getting the other one, the 201530, it may be fine. But if you have an issue where it keeps shutting off, just know that mine did that too. And you know, you have, I don't know if it's a week or whatever, small window to return it, depending on where you got it. So I wasn't going to mess around with it. You know, if I get something brand new out of the box, I want this thing to work and work right. I don't want to be messing with it from day one. Why isn't this thing working? What do I got to do to make it work? That's a bunch of crap. So I just wanted to share that with you. So let's get this side cover off on this thing, and we'll get some oil in it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this service cover here. So we got 4 screws on here. Okay, these look like they're captive screws, so you don't have to worry about them falling on the floor and not knowing where they went. Okay, then you just take the cover, pop it right off. Now that works a lot better than the other one. The other one didn't have screws on it; it just had these clips, but it was very funky and it didn't go on or off real easy. All right, so this says no oil in unit. Add oil before starting, first time. All right, so here is your oil stick right here. All right, and this thing's bone dry. There's no oil in there. I'm sure they put a little bit in there to test it. But then when they ship it, they drain it out. Okay, now I did buy one other accessory for this thing. I saw some people say that, you know, it's good to have a magnet in there so that as it's breaking in, you can pick up all the chips. So I did pick up this other dipstick, okay, and this is actually kind of a nice one. It's an aluminum one, and it does have a magnet on the end of it, and that will pick up any metal chips that fall in the oil as it's breaking in, and it's designed for this machine, so I'll leave a link to that. So we're going to use this stick at first just to measure the oil, make sure it's got the correct level, and then we'll put the other one in there. This here you can see is a little fuel overflow. The hose comes out the bottom there. And the air filter would be in here. It goes up to the carburetor, which is here. All right, so let's get some oil in here. All right, and they supply the oil. So we're going to put the funnel in here. We'll add some oil in here and then we'll check it. Gotta pour it in slow. It's got a small funnel and it'll overflow on you if you go too fast. Okay, got the oil in there now. Let that finish draining for a sec. Okay, let's wipe this dipstick. Clean the tip here. I like the way they give you a little drain off too, so if you happen to spill any oil, it'll fall in this little tray and run out instead of getting all in your machine. That's a nice feature there. Okay, so we'll stick that in there. I'll check it. Okay, looks like she's full. Let me try it again. Okay, she's right on the full mark. So I know where the full mark is on this one. This one might be a little bit different. So let's stick this one in here. Now this one's a little difficult to read. But, so there's a series of notches on here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe the third one is the full mark. So let's take a look here. Yeah, so right around this third mark is your full. Okay. All right, so we're going to use this one so that way when it breaks in, any metal flakes will get caught up on that magnet there instead of getting all throughout the engine. Okay, and that's pretty much it for filling the oil. All right, next we're going to have to get some fuel in it. Now I'm going to start it on fuel, and then I'm going to try switching it over to propane and see, make sure it runs on the propane also. Okay, so let's get this cover back on here. Okay, go easy with these screws because this cover is plastic. You don't want to break it. Okay, so that's all bolted back up. All right, so we're going to put some fuel in it next. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this fuel in here. This is called True Fuel. It's ethanol free, excellent for long-term storage. You can use it in lawnmowers, generators, snowblowers, all that good stuff. So this stuff's expensive. It's probably like 12 bucks a gallon, but it's good to use on things like this. If you're going to use something very periodically, not often, and it sits in storage, fuel will gum up the carburetors, and you don't want that. So this fuel will not do that. You can leave it in here all winter long, and it'll be just fine when you go to start it again. Otherwise, every time you use the thing, you have to shut the fuel off, and you have to run it until it actually drains out, so that you don't have stale fuel sitting in the carburetor gumming it all up. All right, so we're going to put some fuel in this, and then we're going to go through the instructions to see about starting it, and we'll give it a whirl, see what happens. All right, so we're going to go through the manual here and see what it says for a starting procedure. So make sure you're on a flat, level surface. Disconnect all electrical loads from the generator. Never start or stop with any devices plugged in. Turn the fuel vent lever to the on position. Okay, so we have the fuel vent here that is off, that is on. Make sure that cap is tight. Okay, that's good. All right, and then we're going to move it to the choke position, all right, which is all the way to the right, which it is on, so that's fine. And then pull the cord slightly until resistance is felt, and then pull rapidly. Okay, so I'm going to do this in a couple of light pulls. Okay. And then once the engine starts up, we're going to turn this dial over to gasoline, which is the next one over. Okay. So let's see if she fires up. So this is on a brand new cold start. Hopefully she starts up for us. full, no problem. So we're going to let this thing just purr here for a little bit. Then we'll take it off eco mode. I'm going to move this outside, get a little more fresh air. Okay, this thing is actually very quiet. It's nice. Take it off at eco. That purr for a minute, and then we'll try plugging something in, see how it works. Alright, so the manual tells you the first 5 hours of runtime are the break-in period for the unit. So during that break-in period, you want to stay at or below 50% of the running watt rating. So you don't want to overload this thing right off the bat. You want to let it break in for about 5 hours. And then you want to do, like, power something, let it cool down, power something, let it cool down. That way it adjusts the loads and it will cause the engine speed to vary slightly. And that'll help the piston rings seat. So after the 5-hour braking period, then you want to go ahead and change the oil on it again. And then at that point you should be good to go. Alright, so let me plug something in here and see how it works. Alright, so I'm going to use something like I would typically use, like a little grinder here. Alright, we're going to plug this in here. Now it's on eco mode, so I guess technically once you kick it on, the RPMs should come up. So let's see what happens. And then when you shut it off, it goes back down to eco mode again. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so that's working good. Now, if you're going to be using it constantly for a while, we're going to take it off of eco mode and put it on regular mode. So that's working perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook something else in here. I'm going to hook up some lights that I have for the shop, and I'm going to let it just run on that and just run for a while, just to get this thing broken in. And then in a little bit, what I'll do is I'll try switching over to the propane, and we'll make sure that she starts and runs on the propane. Okay, so I have some shop lights here, and let's put these on. So obviously that's not drawing a lot of wattage because it didn't even kick the idle up. So I'm just going to let it rev up for a little while, then I'll put it back to eco. Alright, we'll let that run for a little bit and we'll be back. Okay, so we've had it running for a little bit now. Okay, I'm going to shut it off, and now we're going to try hooking up the propane and making sure that works properly. Okay, so with the regulator, they give you this cover here, okay? And what that's for is when you're storing it, you can clip this onto here, onto the handle. So let's put this cover on here. Okay, so like I say, this here, this goes like that for storage, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in here. Now this piece here, there's a notch can see there's a little black thing right there, and this piece goes right in there. Okay, and then you hear it click in like that. All right, so now we'll get the tank and hook it up. All right, so I have one of these small little tanks, which is very convenient to carry around. I do have the bigger tanks also, so if we're going to be running it for a while, I'll use a big tank. If we just need it for some little stuff, I'll use this one here. All right, so we have this connected here. Now when you open this, you want to open it very slowly. Just let it bleed off just a little bit. And then you can open it up. Okay. Now, I have seen a video of a gentleman who has one of these, and when he runs it on propane, he said what he does to get it to start easier, because I guess it was hard to start on the propane, he says he will put it over to choke, prime it a few times, and then put it over to propane, and it usually fires right up. So let's, because I was just running on gas, I'm going to try it just on propane. If it fires right up 1 or 2 pulls, great. If not, then I'm going to switch it over to the choke for a few pulls, and then we'll go back. So let's see what happens. Okay, so the gas is on. I have it on just regular propane right now. So it may be that because it was just running on fuel that it started right up. But like I say, if you're starting it on a cold start, on propane only, you might want to put it on choke, pull it a few times, and then switch it over to propane, and it should start right up. So let's, once again, plug a couple of things in and see what happens. Okay, so everything seems to be functioning the way it should. We're running off of the propane right now, and like I say, on a 25% load, you can get about 34 hours of runtime on this. So if you're out camping and you want to just run it at night, it's going to be nice and quiet, especially on eco mode, so that you're not bothering everybody, and it'll give you enough power to put some lights on inside your camper or tent or whatever. Maybe run a fridge, just get the basics for what you need, and then during the day, you can run whatever you need on it. Alright, so I think this is going to be a good addition. Everything seems to be working fine. That's excellent. Like I say, the first model I had did give me some issues where it kept shutting off, and I'm not quite sure why, if it was just a problem with that specific unit or the model in general, I don't know. But like I say, this one's a little bit lighter. It's got a better run time on it. So far I'm very pleased with it, and hopefully this will be a very handy tool for around the house and when we go camping. Alright, so if you're thinking about getting one of these, I read some good reviews on them, and I think it's going to be good. So I hope the rundown I gave you kind of explained everything and how it works, and show you how it works, and if it's something you're interested in buying, go for it. Alright, one other thing I want to show you guys, I picked up this cart for this generator, and it's very handy for when you want to just roll it around It does have locking wheels on it. Okay, so rolls around very easily, and then you can lock it in place. It does have like a little canvas top that goes over the top of it to protect it from, I guess, rain and sun and whatnot. Very lightweight, so it's not a heavy thing. It's got a little handle to pull it around, but it's nice if you want to move it around the shop or whatever you want to do, so you don't have to keep lifting it and lugging it around. And like I say, if you're using it outside, it's got a little protective cover, so if it happens to be raining or something, you won't get the thing all soaking wet. So that's a pretty cool little feature, and I'll put a link below as to where I got that in case you guys want to get this accessory also. Alright guys, hope you liked the video. If you do, give a thumbs up, a like, a share, subscribe if you haven't, and I will catch you guys on the next one.